But what do you think? Like, I don't know if you've ever done a school before or what you see.
It's nothing too crazy, but there's a lot of different potential formats for social media depending on what you want to do. Like Instagram alone has at least three different formats. So,
Got
there's IGT, well, four now. There's IGTV, there's Reels, there's a picture, and there's a
it.
video under a minute. And each one of those has like different dimensions and rules. And so these are the kinds of thoughts that I guarantee you nobody in your world has ever thought about, like because they're probably
No.
just putting something up. But and then there's
They're
accessibility
putting up
things.
blurry pictures that are
Yeah,
just
right.
like, why are you posting that? Why are you
So like
posting
high quality DSLR photos is automatically good and videos. Then formatting, but then also accessibility things like that, like the extra touch. The reason that this can scale to much higher than other services is putting subtitles on every video so that people can see what it
right?
is with the sound off. So
I watched a lot of, like, there are tons of times where I watch without sound and just
exactly.
read. So, yeah,
So
that's
obviously,
definitely
when you're starting to multiply that by, however many pieces of content per week or per day, then the effort and all of that goes
right.
up. So, I mean,
So
as
with
you
your
know,
package,
there's
let's say your like lower end package, how
yeah.
many posts are you doing per month or is it per week or how does that work?
Basically a post per day would sort of be the minimum that I would kind of advise.
Got it.
Um, and just build until like finding out where the community is. Because the goal is to create a community. The most
Well,
effective
that's the
things are
goal of the
community
school
driven.
anyway,
Yeah.
right?
And I think, far more important than the specific type of business is whether it is unique within its own space and whether it has the potential to be a community.
Right.
Like, consider like if you have the only gardening place in Texas and there, a lot of people who like gardening, well, you can talk about gardening and you can rally people around gardening tips or gardening ideas. So there has to be like a central focus point. One of my clients is a lab supply company. They make laboratory equipment, but there's a lot of people who have those kinds of degrees or like they went to organic chemistry and they're scientists, so they like looking at pictures of lab gear and they like talking about it. So, or it could be baseball or karate or Pokemon
Yeah.
cards. It could be anything, but there has to
Right.
be like something that people can rally around and say, like, okay, this is what we represent. So, I'm more interested in projects that have a unique angle. What I'm not really interested in is it's like, okay, there's 4,000 daycares. We're the 4,001st daycare. Every
And we're
one of
just doing
them.
everything the same,
Exactly.
right?
And it's like, and they're already doing it. And it's like, I want to beat well, it's like, yeah, you can do that. You certainly can. It's just a lot less fun. It's much more fun to be
Right.
like, we're the only game in town and we have a significant quality advantage over everybody else, or there's something we bring to the table that nobody else is bringing. And,
Right.
I think then it's the subconscious stuff, the commitment to quality, the responding to comments. It's having all of it just done well. There's an element of feel to all of this. Like, is the person at the helm knowledgeable or in control? Like, it's almost like a subconscious kind of thing. People can
Right.
it rubs off whether or not it's amateur or
Right.
professional.
Right. Yeah,
So if you're
that's
putting out
very
a
true.
consistently professional vibe with community building at the heart, then, I absolutely think you can become what it is that you're hoping to become. And of
Right.
course, it's an exponential game, so it may, the curve starts out slow, but as it builds more and more.
Yeah,
And it,
demand. Well, and it's not a
yeah,
product that I produce. I mean, kids obviously age out of the
yeah,
program, but it's like there's only so many seats. I can't add any more seats
yeah,
in. So it's filling those and then continuing to drive the demand. So when those
yeah.
open, you have people to slip in. And that's
Make
true.
it more
Like we're going to
prestigious.
offer Spanish. Obviously, that's important here, and
Yeah,
Mandarin, Chinese.
yeah,
There's a Mandarin Chinese program.
yeah,
Chess at 3, which is a really cool program. We're doing
yeah,
yoga, gardening, like all the stuff that I want my kids to
yeah,
have and
yeah,
were important to me.
yeah,
Food wise, it's like so many schools either don't serve anything and parents just send whatever,
yeah,
or they serve horrible food. And so I've partnered with a local place called Naturally Cafe, and she's like from scratch, organic, plant-based. She does have like meat options as well. But again, it's like I'm not going to open this amazing school and then
yeah.
serve the kids cafeteria food, right? Like
Right.
I'm like trying to put attention to detail in everything. I'm
Yep.
hiring a local artist to make
Yep.
the signs for our classroom, just little details that not only tie us into the greater community,
Yes.
making sure that we stay pretty local with these things, but also building our own community within the school.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think
yeah,
that's great. And like what I have seen is that quick things don't work. There's no such thing as quick wins, but that brand is everything.
right,
In coronavirus, there's a lot of small businesses like we talked about are being shut down. Okay.
right,
A lot have not been able to weather the storm in a lot of places. And some of that's just due to the nature of the business. But the ones that have, they're all brand forward, all of them. So the client that I'm working with, I've been working with them for 3 years now, and they had pretty much nothing. But we've focused on building, a far better website experience, a far better social media experience, and all of those details. Because a good brand, it has all of those touch points. Everywhere you look, it reflects the quality of the thing. Like if you saw something
right,
cheap from Harvard University, it would really reflect badly on that brand. Or like Apple, like anywhere you see Apple,
right,
it's going to look good, right?
right,
So the subconscious, the cumulative effect of doing that for a long period of time separates you from the pack. So whereas like day one with this client, we started where there were a bunch of similar competitors. What we've seen is over the 3 years, we've gone here and the competitors sort of stayed down there. Like each day, each month that you do things in a different way, you
right,
separate yourself from everybody else more and more and more. And then what ends up happening is a year down the road, they notice, they're like, oh, shit, we got to do that now. And then they start copying your move. And that's what I've seen with a lot of people that I work with is like they start literally copying everything that we do because they realize like, oh, this is something that we should have been investing in. But if
right,
if the play is brand forward and not like immediate gains, because people can smell that from a mile away. It's community building. If you're just like gimme, 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 gimme the whole time, it just doesn't work. Or just like buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. That just doesn't work. But if you give, then
right,
you explain like, hey, no, I'm not in it for the short term gain. I'm in it for long term being a pillar of this community. And that is your attitude from day one. Over time, you will become the thing in that space that you want to be.
right.
So if there is the budget and the patience and the mindset to do that and to be that, I have total faith that it can work. And that's whether it's something that I do or anybody else does, that doesn't matter.
Right.
But like that is the mindset that you have to have. And if you're panicky or like, I need this in a month or a week, that's when people make the kind of decisions that really harm them. And all of those people, they tend to fail. That's what I've
Right.
seen.
Right.
But if people are like, hey, I get it. I get that brand is an investment. I get that this is a long-term game. If you have your eyes on like years, 5 years from now being like the most respected game in town, you can
Right.
achieve that. And like
Absolutely.
like you said about the food, or you differentiate yourself at every turn. It's like, okay, we do this, we do that, we do this. We believe in this. This is something we did with the community. This is,
Right.
each little checkbox is a way to separate yourself from the people who aren't doing all of that.
It's so
Multiply
true.
that out
Yeah.
for a year, and then
Well,
you're
and I
there.
think that so I don't know, I'm a nurse, so
Hmm.
that's my background. So in
Okay.
my previous career of being a nurse,
Hmm.
which I'm still a nurse, but I'm not working in the field because it's
Yeah.
just a little bit of a burnout.
Sure.
But anyways, I helped to open a hospice, and I remember
Wow.
I was
Noble.
trying to convince the owner that, yeah, it was really crazy. One little thing that's a
Yeah.
piece in a much bigger puzzle.
Yep.
But I was trying to convince him to pay the employees better than they would
Yeah.
elsewhere, not myself specifically, but talking about when you're hiring social workers, chaplains. And I kept
Yes.
telling him, I'm like, the dollar an hour investment is going to save
Yes.
you the cost of training new people down the
Yep.
line, having to compromise your quality because somebody else takes that person away.
Yes.
Like I was trying to, and he wouldn't do it. And guess what? He couldn't retain any employees because he
Yeah.
was paying the same, maybe slightly less than competitors. And I'm like, it's an like I don't, same
Yes.
thing with branding. It's like it's an investment.
It's a
Like I'm not
philosophy
hiring
shift.
teachers. I'm gonna pay them better because I want to get
Yes.
the best staff, okay staff that
Right.
needs 50 cents more an hour. Like I'm gonna try to get the best people.
Right.
And that's the thing is you're right, every turn, like
Yep.
you in building this community,
Yep.
that includes all the players, not
Yes.
just so
And you have to think like, imagine if Apple put out something that looked bad or looked half-assed. You know,
right.
you'll never see it. But why not? Why do they put so much attention? into the way this case looks when it's just a case, or the way that like opening a cable looks. Nobody cares. They surely could have saved a lot of money by not doing those things, but it's like you come to
Yeah,
expect those things. If you want to
right.
be like this elite holistic school, you have to do what an elite holistic school does. You have to
Exactly.
do what a Harvard does. You have to do what a Stanford does. You have to create that feeling, and that is something that you can't fake. So that's
You
my
can't
two
fake it,
cents.
and you can't, yeah, you can't make up for it later, because once
No.
you've slipped,
Yep.
it's
Yep. And people can sense it.
people see through it.
They
Yeah.
see through it. So, if it just won't work. But if you really want to commit to being that, it will work. I have no doubt that you will fill up your school. Now, whether that is, oh, a month or a year, I don't know for sure. But I think, again, it's
That's
patience.
also unimportant, right? Because
Yeah,
you plan, like when you're
it's
starting a business,
patience.
you plan for it not to be successful right away. So if
Yes.
it's not, it's okay. Like
Yep.
it's not defining you within the community.
Yep.
So yeah, that's awesome.